Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed. I hope you're well. We are up in the Radio Shack. Now then, when recently, over the year, I've been testing these 2 meter 70 centimeter ham radio transceivers, which I've converted via programming them in Chirp to PMR. When I've been testing those, you've been asking me, Fred, how much power do I really get out of one of these radios once it's been converted? Do you have a power meter you could just put it on and show us? And the answer would be no, I haven't had a power meter. It's not that I haven't been looking. I've been looking for a little SMA power meter for months now. Just couldn't quite find the right one. The very, very cheap ones had terrible reviews. They were up to 30% inaccurate. That wasn't acceptable. And then the price just shot up and shot up till you were spending £200 on a meter, which wasn't cost effective. However, I have found one from Banggood for just over £50. I think it's £51 by REDOT, and that's the one we're going to be having a look at in this video. I have looked at this meter before. It gets fair reviews actually for this price point, but I'd rejected it many times looking at it, and I'll explain when I open the box why I've rejected it. But that's what we're looking at on this video. Let's crack into it. So like I say, there's nothing wrong with this meter, but I kept looking at it, kept rejecting it, and I'll show you why. But let's just first get the meter out of the box. Set of instructions, we'll look at those in a minute. I'm not too hopeful on those. USB-C charge lead. It has got a built-in battery, 3.7 volts, 350 mAh, so it's not a massive battery, so you're going to need that USB charger. Here's the meter itself. REDOT digital SWR meter. It's also obviously a power meter. Quite nicely made actually. Metal, aluminium or aluminum if you like, construction. Small little LCD dot matrix display. It's quite small actually. It's 128 by 64 pixels, so it's not the biggest display, but it'll do the job. Do you know what I mean? Single button to turn it on and off. Everything's great, isn't it? Now when I first saw this, and probably what you're thinking, I thought these were 259 connectors, and that's dead easy to get adapters for SMA. I've got those, but they're not. These are type, Christ, that's tight. These are type N connectors, which is totally incompatible with any of my radios, which are normally 259. God, they're really tight caps on this thing. 259 or SMA. So that's why I rejected this every time I saw it, despite the reasonable reports on its reliability and accuracy. Rejected it, but I just couldn't find anything else that was going to work. So yeah, £51 feels decent quality for that, but then you have to get adapters on top of that, which they're not come with the meter itself. I couldn't even see these on Banggood, so I ended up having to go onto Amazon UK, and not expensive, £6.95 for 2 adapters, which go from the type N, I think that's a male fitting, to a SMA for the little PMR radios. However, I'm not quite finished there, because these are SMA male, the one with the centre pin, and to get that to work with the antenna, we're going to need to reverse that, because the antenna's male as well. So you then need to buy a barrel connector, which again, these are about £1.70 each or something, so we're not talking loads of money. But we have to buy a barrel connector for that then to fit to the antenna. So it's a little bit of mucking about, and that's why I wasn't all that keen on getting one. But I really can't find anything better for the money. So let me zoom in. Let's have a quick closer look at the meter itself, and then we can get on with testing some of these radios. So the meter itself, I mean, it's very basic. There's only one single button, which I think is a bit of a cost-saving exercise myself. I think 2 buttons would have been easier. You do get instructions, sort of instructions. It does cover the basics of the meter, tells you what the display does. It's not all that clear, to be perfectly honest. It covers the specs, the basic specs of the meter, so we'll just run through that. So first thing is obviously power. This will handle up to 120 watts. so that's plenty of power. Frequency range of the meter is 80 to 999 megahertz. Very, very wide. It weighs 120 grams, so it's something that you could take DX in, and it claims to have a 10% accuracy. Now that doesn't sound very good, does it? You think, oh, 10%, that's not, but to be honest with you, when you look into these, some of these are saying 30% inaccuracy. So 10% isn't too bad, to be perfectly honest. So switch it on, just hold down the starter button. It does have a backlight. You can switch that to come on or come off. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm seeing. Right, there you go. You can see what I'm seeing now. Now the display itself, it actually is very clear. It's coming out a little bit kind of grey on the camera, but the resolution is better in real life. It's a very small display, obviously, but yeah, perfectly clear. Now as we look around the display here, you'll see where it says F, that's for frequency, and I've preset this at 446 megahertz because I'm going to be testing PMR. Obviously this could be set from 80 to 999, or you can just have it on auto, when the meter will try and automatically select what frequency you're at. Also not showing on the meter here is you can have a little D setting here. It will handle digital communication as well as analog. There's your battery meter there. I haven't charged this, so this is straight out of the box. It's showing about 90%. Then you've got your 3 power settings on this side: forward power, reflected power and peak power. Be quite handy for SSB, things like that. And then up in this side here, this is where the SWR will be displayed. Now to get into the menus to set your frequency or to switch it in digital analog mode, you simply hold down the button. Then you have to press it a number of times. I found that a little bit awkward. I did do it okay, but I think it would have been nicer if they'd have had 2 buttons. So one to get into the menu settings, and then one to select each option. I don't think that's the best alternative, and that's really all there is to it. I say there's nothing to get sort of too involved with. Oh, it does switch, goes into power saving mode when it doesn't detect a frequency. Right, that's it. Let me connect it to a radio and let's see what it does. Gonna get on to the testing now. So as this has the N-type connectors, which isn't something you regularly use with radio, I had to buy a couple of adapters, and I got these. These were MAL N to MAL SMA. I did buy 2 from Amazon. They were about £7 or £8. I can only find one. I've had a little tidy up here over the Christmas break, and I've obviously put it in a box somewhere. But anyway, I only really need one because this will go on the inside, the feed inside sort of the meter there, and this will go to the radio. So that gives us a MAL pin, and then we need a little barrel connector, which thankfully I had these. So it's a bit of a flap, you know, having to buy all of these interconnectors to use the meter. Right, so that goes in there, and then that can screw into the radio. Now on the outside, you could put an antenna on, and I did try this before I mislaid the connector, and it will give you the SWR from the antenna. However, on this test, I'm really interested more in the power output of these radios. So I bought a 25 watt dummy load there with the proper 50 ohm N connector. Again, that was from Amazon. I think that was just under £20. So it does add, you know, the price goes up a little bit. This does seem quite cheap at first, but in time you get all of these adapters and the proper dummy loads, the price does go up. So there you go. That's the setup. Got a few radios in the background. I think we'll try this older Bofang here, and this is not a genuine Bofang. This is a UV5R. This is a cloned version. What is the difference? Oh, I don't know if you can tell nowadays, to be perfectly honest. And again, this has the MAL pin on the SMA there. You probably can't see that. So what I'm going to do with this is we're going to switch it on, obviously.
Channel mode.
and we're going to turn the power down to low, which I believe is 1 watt.
Menu.
So transmit power.
Power.
Low.
Confirm.
So that should give us about 1 watt output. Now hopefully when I connect this, we will have a SWR of pretty much 1-to-1, because we're going into a dummy load. We shouldn't lose any of the power from the transmit. Right, let me just connect. So it's a bit unwieldy, really. It's a little bit. So we're on PMR frequencies on the UV5R here. It shouldn't make an awful lot of difference, really. Now let me just zoom in to the screen and I'll show you how I've set this up. So what I've done is I've set the frequency to auto. You can put in the exact frequency, and I did try it out on my first experiment. If you want it to go back to auto, it's a little bit weird. You have to set a frequency below 80 megahertz and then it reverts back to auto. Right, here we go then. So we're on low power on the UV5R. Let me zoom right into the meter so you can see the reading as it happens, if you like. Hopefully that should come into focus at any second. Oh, too much, sorry, apologies. There you go. Right, let's key up the radio then. This is a low power, should be about 1 watt, I think. Right, and D-key. When you D-key, it's the reading stays on the screen, so it has a memory. So firstly, you've got the SWR there, 1.0, absolutely 100% perfect, as you'd expect from a dummy load. For frequency, it's detected UHF, that's no problem. And then forward power from the radio, it's a little bit higher than I thought. 3.12 watts, reflected power, 0, a balanced dummy load. And peak power from the radio, 3.2. So on low power, that's a little bit more than I'd have thought. I'd have thought it'd have been about 1 watt, to be perfectly honest. Okay, what I'm going to do now, let's change it to high power. And let's run the test again. Should be about 5 watts. So the meter has reset itself. I didn't have to do that. That was good. Okay, now I'm going to key up now. PMR channel 10. There we go. High power. I'll D-key. So yeah, that's what I'd kind of expect. So once again there, SWR 1.0, what you'd expect. 4.38 watts on high power. Yeah, that's probably about right, I would have thought. Reflected power 0, peak power 4.5. So yeah, that seems to work quite well, doesn't it, on a cloned radio. Let's try a few of the others. Let's try this little Retivest RA79. Again, that's about a 5 watt radio. See what we get out of that. We're going to have a change of plan. Got a low battery warning on the Retivest. But never mind, we've got plenty of radios to choose from. Going to swap over then, and let's use this genuine Quansheng. It's running the same Exuma. There we go. We've got 79% on the battery, so that should be fine. So let's see if we can change the power output on this as well. So here we go then. So we've got transmit power, medium and low. Let's try it on low. There we go, accept. So we're now on low. Again, we're on the PMR frequencies. I think that's channel 2, I believe. Let's connect up to the meter and see what a little Quansheng does. Right, here we go. I'll zoom in a second. And there we go. So that's on low power. Let me just zoom in for you. So that's done quite well, actually. So on low power, 4.87 watts. That's quite a lot. 0 reflected, almost 5 watts on peak power. That's a little bit high, isn't it? I would have thought at low power the Quansheng would have been less than that. So I think what we do now, let's set the Quansheng. Let's go straight for high power. There we go. So we're now on high power. Let's key up. Wow, that's shot up a bit. Let me zoom in for you. So high power on it's according to this meter on the Quang, 7.29 watts, peak 7.3. I don't know. Is that what you get out of a Quang Shang? I thought it would have been a little bit lower. I mean, I believe this is a 5-watt radio, but it might just show you maybe Exuma gives you a little bit more than the standard firmware. Okay, well, let's what we do. Let me zoom out again. Sorry about zooming in. So we've got the two TID radios here behind us. So we've got the big TID and the little TID, the H3, and I think it's the H8. So this is a 5-watt radio. This is a 10-watt radio. So let's whack these on full power and let's see what they give us. Here we go again then. So the little H3 radio set on high power and it's on PMR 11. And I'll zoom in this time, we'll go straight to it. So here we go then, this is high power on the TID. Wow. Okay, SWR 1.0, 8.87, peaking at 8.9 watts. That's quite a lot, isn't it? That's a little bit more than I thought you would get out of a supposedly a 5-watt radio. You can have to let me know in the comments, guys. I've never had a meter before, and I haven't unfortunately got another one to put it side by side to test it, but that seems quite a lot, doesn't it, from a 5-watt radio. Let's test the bigger brother. Let's test the 10-watt radio and see what we get out of that. So here we go then. It's on high power. Let's move the antenna away from the dummy load there. We're going to zoom in again. So high power. Oh, that was the other radio squeaking. I've still left the other one switched on. 14 watts, peaking at 14.5 watts. I thought it was a 10-watt radio. I'm pretty sure it's a 10-watt radio. That's quite high, isn't it? Not sure really. So that's 14. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to adjust the frequency there. I'm going to put the 446 in. Maybe it's not quite reading right on the detection there. I'll do that off camera because that will take a little while. So I'm going to say this isn't that easy to use because it's only got one button. So we switch on, and then another short press turns the backlight off, turns it on. Then it said a long press will get you into the setup menu, but it just shuts down. So try again. Long press. I'm really holding that down now for a long time. Set. There we go. And then again, we've only got the one. So 4. And then how do we change digit, do we think? So I've got it on 400. And then hold it down again, do you think? Oh, went back to auto. Okay, let's try that again. So it's a really long press. Set. 4. And then double press. Or hold it down. That's it. 4. 4. 6. Four, 4, 6. Right, so on 446 on high power, so the same test again. Yeah, same result, isn't it? So yeah, 14.3 watts on high power. So yeah, that's on the exact frequency, or as near as I can get. Let me zoom out. Yeah, I mean, it's a mixed result, isn't it? I'm not convinced at all that TID radio, for example, is putting out 14.5 watts when it's supposedly a 10-watt radio, and the other one 7.5 watts. The little cloned or fake UV5R, I think that seemed quite accurate. Maybe these radios are, maybe they are putting out this much. Maybe you do get 7 watts out of a Quanshang and 5 watts on low power. Do you know, I don't really know. And as I say, I haven't got another meter to compare it to, and they're a little bit expensive at sort of £50. I can't really go out and buy meters to compare it to. So yeah, I'm a little bit unsure about that test, to be perfectly honest. I think I've done everything correct. I think it's correct to use a dummy load and not an antenna, because that will affect the SWR and that will affect the power as well. So I think I've done that correct. I had to use an adapter, obviously, but I'm not convinced that was accurate. So yeah, the jury's out on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've got a meter yourself, are you getting that kind of power out of these little radios? Anyway, things I like about it, I like the build quality. The battery is only at 96%. I haven't recharged it since I've been doing the testing, so the battery's holding out. Definitely like the build quality. The screen could be a little bit bigger, but it is quite clear compared to maybe a backlit colour screen. I don't like the button though. I find that very difficult to use. An extra button would have been easy to use the setup in the menu. So I think we'll bring this one to a close, and as I say, let me know what you think in the comments, and if you think I was doing it wrong, for example, then I can always go back and test it. I probably will eventually find the second adapter, but even if I test it with the antenna, I don't think that's going to make an awful lot of difference to the results. I think the proper test is with a dummy load. But anyway, there it is. I'll leave a link to this in the description. It's on Banggood at the moment, if you want to go away and check it out yourself. But as always, thumbs up from yours truly, Fred in the Shed. I hope you're keeping well. Thank you for watching the video. I do appreciate every view that I get. And as always, yeah, please, please, please look after yourselves, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.